will now be recorded.
Good evening. My name is Mary Maslowski. I'm the chairperson of the Harwich HDHC and Historical Committee. We are here for the meeting of Wednesday, May 20th at 6 p.m. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Town of Harwich HDHC on May 20th, 2020 will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Harwich website at www.harwich-ma.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may also do so by following on channel 18 or by watching us simultaneously. So just to get started, I would just like to state the members of the board that are on the call. It is board member Bob Jones, Brendan Lonnie, Jean Steiner, Julie Eldridge, and myself as chair. So we have 5 members on the call tonight. That's all we expect. The first matter that we have before us is a public hearing for HH 2020-07. It's a notice of intent that has been received for 194 Pleasant Bay Road, map 113, parcel S3-A in the R-R zone. The application proposes 100% demolition of a cottage outbuilding. This application is pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich, Chapter 131, Historic Preservation, Article 2, Gregory P. and Terry L. Ostrander as owner applicant. So I believe Mr. and Mrs. Ostrander, you're on the call.
Yes.
Yes, we're here. Thanks for having us.
So could you start with walking us through your application, please?
So we were, last year we were notified by an insurance company that they wanted us to have both the barn that is on the property and this cottage with 14 by 20 torn down, and they canceled our insurance. So we went before you last year for the barn because we knew that was far gone to even consider doing anything with. And we're hoping to somehow save the cottage as some storage space. And as we had people look at it and can't really get anything in through the small door in the front, so reconfiguring it, we get to be complicated with have to rebuild the entire thing. There are animals living under it, family of foxes last year. Other things come and go. You can tell by the footprints in the snow. It's just too much to save. I don't think it has the historical value of the house, which we're sitting in now. I think it was built much later. It has very low ceilings. You can see by the pictures, someone lived there at some point, but as far as we know, it was many decades ago.
And at this point, are you just looking to demolish and not replace it with anything?
Right, at this point, so we have to get someone in to get rid of the barn because it's that really has to go. So, we'd have the contractor come in and take that down at the same time. We'd like to eventually, if, it's next year or two, if we can pull it off, given what's going on. I'm not fully sure what the economy is going to look like, but if things return to some sort of normalcy in the next year or so, we'd like to recreate it on the property just a little further back.
For now, it's just demolition.
Demolition.
Okay. So let's start with some questions from the board. Bob Jones, do you have any questions or comments for the applicant?
No, I did take a look at it, and I don't think it's significant enough to warrant a demolition delay on my part. So that's all my comments.
Okay, thank you. Jean?
I drove by it, and I would agree with Bob. I don't think there's any significance that would cause us any angst over the historic value of it.
Okay, Brendan?
I agree with both Bob and Jean. I think it's the same situation as before where it was sitting, not seeing even the barn from the street. So yes, I agree with both of them.
Okay. Julie, any comments or questions?
No. Actually, before the Ostraders bought it, my sister and her husband looked at this house. I remember looking at this, and it is very old, and I don't know what was living in there. But I agree with the other board members here.
Just taking a leap of faith to buy this house.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
It's a nice piece of property. That's a big piece of property.
It is.
If I recall, it's nice and flat. It's very nice.
All right then, if there are no other comments or questions for the applicants, then if the board is ready to close the public hearing, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
All right,
I'll
Mr.
second.
Jones moved, and who seconded it, Jean?
Jean, yes.
All right, so Bob Jones has moved to close the public hearing. Jean Steiner has seconded. So we need to do everything by a roll call vote tonight. So I'll call your name and ask you to vote. So Bob Jones.
Aye.
Jean Steiner. Jean?
I think she's frozen. Oh no.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, aye.
And Brendan
I
Lonnie.
froze.
Aye.
And Julie Eldridge.
Aye.
And I am voting in the affirmative as well. So motion carries 5-0. We will let the building department know that your
I got a question, Mary.
sure, Bob.
Didn't we just vote to close the
Oh, yeah,
public
we did
discussion?
close the public
We still need a
discussion.
motion.
Yes, you're not 100% right. Thank you. So let's
And I will move to allow the 100% demolition of the cottage outbuilding at 194 Pleasant Bay Road, Harwich.
thank
I'll
you,
second
Bob.
that.
Thank you. Who made the second? Was that Julie?
That was me. Yes, I second.
All right. So then we have a second roll call vote. Bob Jones,
Aye.
Jean Steiner,
Aye.
Brendan Lonnie,
Aye.
Julie Eldridge,
Aye.
and I will also vote in the affirmative. So now the motion carries 5-0. We will let the building department know. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. You folks have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. So the second matter on our agenda is a certificate of appropriateness for 110 Parallel Street. Is there anyone on for that matter?
Yes, Dana Pickup.
I'm sorry, your name again?
Dana Pickup, contractor.
Okay. Hello, Dana. So let me
How you
open
doing?
your public hearing and we can get started. So we are, second matter on the agenda is HH 2020-08. It's a certificate of appropriateness that has been received for 110 Parallel Street, map 41, parcel D6 in the C-V and the Harwich Center Historic District. The application proposes to alter architectural trims and replace the existing gutter system. The application is pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40C, Section 6, and the Code of the Town of Harwich, Chapter 131, Historic Preservation, Article 1. Michelle and Jim Treef, owners and applicants. All right. So if you could start by just walking us through the application for us, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think everybody has the pictures. As you can see, the exterior trim of the building, including the front and back gable, gone into disrepair, lack of paint, rot, whatever. So my customer, the trees, want to replace all the existing trim with PVC, same size, nothing far as the look. And then on the front and back gable, same thing, replaced all that with PVC tongue and groove board. So it looks exactly like what it is right now. And the gutter system right now is existing. It's an aluminum 5-inch gutter, and will be the same as it is. It'll just be brand new.
Okay. So, questions and comments from the board. Brendan, Lonnie, would you like to start?
I don't think I have any questions if it's all PVC and identical to what's there. I don't think I could.
Yeah, every spec, so all the fascias 1x8, that's what we're going to use. All the PVC now comes, same dimension wood that you would typically use. So all the molding going up the rig's going to be the same size. The fascia is going to be the same size. The soffit's going to be same look as it is now with the soffit vents. The front's going to look exactly the same. So other than not ever rotting again, it'll look.
Yes, I guess one quick question. Are you going to paint the PVC?
We do not have a contract to paint the PVC. It is paintable, holds paint very well, but that would be on the customer at this point to do.
Okay.
Obviously, it comes white. It's made to be painted, but it doesn't need to be painted. It'll stay white. The only thing that will happen, just like anything else, you'll have to, if you want to keep up with it, you can power wash it. But we've been using it now for a long time, and stuff still looks great. So
it's going to do like the Cortex screws and caps?
Exactly. Yep. It's just a screw and bung system. So yep. You won't even see a finish nail hole. You'll just be plugged with a bung, and you won't even be able to see it.
Okay, Mary, I'll set on my end.
Okay. Bob Jones.
Yeah. Is the gutter remaining to be aluminum?
Yeah, it'll be brand new. So we're going to toss the one that's there, but it's going to be the same style gutter, and it's going to be aluminum again. That's
okay. Okay. And a question maybe more for Brendan or the whole committee. Haven't we insisted on painting this material in the historic district?
That's correct. That's what we agreed upon on several projects, and just even our subcommittee. The PVC, the application that the contractor here is going to do, it will just be pretty much capped. The idea is that if it's painted, you won't see that in the future. So ideally, it would be best if it is painted, especially with it being in the historic district.
Yeah, because the paint will give it a different texture, and it will look more like painted wood, I believe. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
And haven't we?
Yeah, and the reason being is the caps that we put on, or the contractor would put on, eventually there's a chance that they get these little ring dusts around them.
Right.
So yes, it can be pressure washed and cleaned. Everything has somewhat of a maintenance coat, but yeah, that'd be something to think about. So it will look like a PVC application as opposed to a wood product.
And isn't this an example of where you can buy it in a wood grain as opposed to a smooth finish, and that we've always requested a smooth finish because the wood grain looks too fake.
Correct.
I haven't. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen that product with the wood grain. We use the smooth one because it mimics real pine at that point.
So Bob, the textured is more on the clapboard. So you'll have a cement board product that comes textured on one side, smooth on the other, in whether that even comes that way anymore. But you can get either or. But if it's in historic, we've been requesting the smooth side be put on.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. But that's for siding, not for trim.
Yep. So then I'm okay as long as they paint it.
Agreed.
Is that something where we can get approval on the trim with the condition of painting it, and then I can go to the customer or talk to him tomorrow and try to get him a price on painting? And that, that would be a condition of it. because I'd have to check with them. You know, we don't have it on our end to paint it. I'd have to obviously make sure they're okay with that before we move forward. Or is that something that it gets pushed to the next meeting?
So here's my comment. If you're not going to be able to go forward and they would need to do a whole other application before going forward, if we close and approve it tonight, subject to that condition, if they don't agree, they would have to come back.
Okay.
You would have a
clarification on my end. It's not going to get approved even if it was just the PVC in general anyway. It's got to be painted no matter what, correct? Hello?
The board has consistently required.
Yeah.
So can you hear me, Dana? The board has consistently required that that we have the PVC materials painted. So I think the sense from at least three of us tonight is that would be the requirement. And as I said, if we go forward and make a decision without your applicant's consent, they would actually have to start another application all over again if they wanted to do something different.
So,
did you have something?
Yeah, so as I understand it, what you just said is that as long as we put it as a condition and the applicant agrees that, okay, I'll paint it, nothing more has to be done, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So, Gene, I don't think we've talked to you yet.
Thing as presented, but I would agree that it should be painted also.
Okay. And Julie?
Same here. We need to be consistent, so it should be painted once it's done. It'll look a lot nicer too once it's all done.
If they don't go for the paint, then we wouldn't be doing the job anyway. So that's fine. Yeah, we can make that a condition.
Yeah. All right. Is there anybody else on the call for the public that wishes to comment or ask the matter before us, which is 110 Parallel Street? Hearing none, then the chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
Mr. Doan has moved to close and Mr. Lonnie has seconded.
I'll second if no one has seconded. Oh, you did. Okay.
I think Brendan has. So we will conduct a roll call vote to close the public hearing. Mr. Doan.
Aye.
Mrs. Steiner.
Aye.
Mr. Lonnie.
Aye.
And Mrs. Eldridge.
Aye.
And I will also vote in the affirmative. So the motion to close the public hearing carries 5-0. Now the chair would entertain a motion in the application.
Let Bob do it.
I could do it. Motion to approve the application as written with the one condition of paint on all new work.
Okay. So Mr. Lonnie has made the motion to approve the application as written with the condition of painting all of the new work. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Doan has seconded. We will have a roll call vote. Mr. Doan.
Aye.
Mrs. Steiner.
Aye.
Mr. Lonnie.
Aye.
Mrs. Eldridge.
Aye.
And I will also vote in the affirmative. Motion carries 5-0. Dana will let the building department know.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye.
So the next matter on our agenda is HH 2020-10. It is a notice of intent for 312 Bank Street. Is there anyone on the call wishing to speak for the applicant?
I think it's Mr. Rockwood. Or Mr. Clark.
Rockwood, I don't think we can. I can't hear you.
Unmute.
Oh, there it.
Mr. Rockwood?
I'm not sure if is it Clark or Rockwood? Oh, Mr. Clark.
Rockwood Clark.
Mr. Clark, can you hear us? We cannot
There should be a
hear
green
you.
unmute button.
Correct. So one question for you folks, did you sign into the audio when you logged in? There should be an audio section in your controls, and it needs to be green.
It's called the Go, it's your control panel.
They could call the number on their phone, couldn't they?
Yes, they could.
Oh, there it is.
We'll give you a minute to dial in.
I'm still on, yeah.
You go, right? Okay. Are we on now?
Mr. Clark, is that you?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
We can.
Through the
So,
phone or through the computer? Okay. Anyway.
we're actually hearing through the vote. So give me a moment. Let me just open your public hearing, and then we'll ask you to give us your presentation. So we are going to open the third public hearing for the night. It's HH 2020-10. The notice of intent has been received for 312 Bank Street, map 41, parcel N7 in the R-R zone. The application proposes partial demolition of a portion of the structure identified as the mud and laundry rooms. The application is pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich, Chapter 131, Historic Preservation, Article 2, the estate of Mary E. Larkin et al., care of George Rockwood Clark, owner applicant. All right, Mr. Clark, thank you. Could you walk us through your application?
What's that?
Could you start by just telling us about your application?
Yeah, what we're aiming to do is to add a couple of doors to replace the doors on the side of the building, and then 2 skylights, and then basically restructure it in keeping with the rest of the house. Vinyl siding, and then inside we'll be putting in a new bathroom. And it'll be consistent with the as we've maintained.
All right, Mrs. Steiner, do you have any questions or comments? Would you like to start out?
Can you hear me? I just had to unmute my. I was going past the house the other day, and I was trying to figure out exactly where this is going up Bank Street. It's back of the house, right? It's going towards the back.
Yeah, there's a barn. There's a barn, and beyond the barn, there's an apartment. But in front of the barn is where this section is, and it's on the back side of the house.
Okay. So I don't have any questions.
All right, Bob Doan?
Yeah, I am familiar with the house. So you're really talking about the area that connects the main house, including the kitchen, to the garage itself. Just a little, it's almost like a walkway, but a very wide one that's totally enclosed that was used like as a mudroom. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And it looked like you're actually moving the bathroom into the garage. That's where the bathroom will be.
Yeah, I'd call it a barn more than a garage.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It's a barn. And
yeah.
Go ahead.
It comes into the barn about 5'6" into the barn.
Okay. And you're doing something with, I guess there's a little bit of a full basement underneath that section?
Yes, right. And what we're doing is on the front, the wall was wasn't significant. And for doing this kind of construction, we decided to carry and build a 4-foot concrete block wall.
Okay.
On the front side being the north side.
Yep.
The rest is already blocked.
Okay. Had you put that in, or was that already in when you bought the house, that whole area downstairs, the basement?
It was already in. Yeah, it was already in, yeah.
Yeah, because that was originally, that was just a small Cape Cod cellar. At one time. Yeah, no, I don't have any other questions or issues.
Okay, Mr. Lonnie?
I'm all set, no questions.
And Julie?
Nothing here, all set.
Okay. Is there anyone else on the call that wishes to
It's actually 312, but
312? I'm sorry, thank you. Hearing none, and if the board is ready to make the decision, the chair will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion's been made by Julie Eldridge to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
I will second. Yes.
Steiner has seconded.
Sorry.
We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Doan.
Aye.
Mrs. Steiner.
Aye.
Mr. Lonnie.
Aye.
And Mrs. Eldridge.
Aye.
And I will also vote in the affirmative. So the motion to close the public hearing carries. And now the chair will entertain a motion on the application.
I move that we accept the plans at 112 Bank Street as submitted.
312.
312 Bank Street, I believe. Bob? Bob, can you hear us?
Yes.
It's 312 Bank Street,
Oh, what'd they say? 212?
112.
We'll get it right eventually, right?
Yes. 312. At 312
Okay,
Bank Street.
So Mr. Jonas made a motion to approve the application on the notice of intent for 312 Bank Street. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Eldridge has seconded. And we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mrs. Steiner, Jean Steiner,
Aye, yes.
Mr. Lonnie,
Aye.
Mrs. Eldridge,
Aye.
and I will also vote in the affirmative. So motion carries to approve the application 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Clark. We will let the building department know.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Have a good night.
Take care.
All right.
If you want to.
Next matter on our agenda is public hearing. We'll open the public hearing for HH 2020-10, the notice of intent that has been received for 3 Bayview Road, map 7, parcel J13 in the R-L zone. The application proposes demolition of one of the chimneys of the circa 1870 home, Macros inventory number HU.380. Additionally, the application shows replacement of all windows, exterior doors, siding, and roofing. The application is pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich, Chapter 131, Historic Preservation, Article 2. Edward and Jane Fay are the owner applicant, and Mr. Kroll is on the call representing the applicant.
I am, thank you, Madam Chairperson. And Rick Roy from Rick Roy Construction was in the picture. He should be coming back. I don't know, need to get some or what, but this is, I think it's pretty straightforward as far as what's being proposed in the package, that packet that you received. Scope of work, the picture, the building and elevation plans, and the like in the notice of intent. So I think what we're looking for from the board is a determination of non-significance. I mean, admittedly, this is the register that's referenced on the Macros inventory and the Town of Harwich inventory, and it's a approximately 1870 house. So what we're not asking to demolish and replace, we're asking to rent and not major renovations, but replace windows and replace doors and furnaces and the new roof, and take out chimney that just vents mechanicals, but leave the other brick chimneys. There's Mr. Roy. So give the house a facelift as set forth in the scope of work, but have it, the end result being that it would basically look the same. The lines and all of that would be the same. There would be an addition of a covered porch and some overhangs and dormers, but all to fit in, as you can see from the renderings, that it would all still look basically the same as a very busy Cape Cod style house. So I don't see us, we're not asking to demolish, we're asking really for a determination of non-significance, that it would, the proposed changes would not destroy or substantially diminish the historical significance of the structure. I think that's what we're asking for in the code. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Jones, you want to start?
Yes. The one area that I am notice of would be a significant change is in the windows. The windows facing the street, you'll notice, are stained glass on the upper halves. And by removing those, I do believe that changes the historic nature of the dwelling. The second part is also the removal of that chimney. That is, it looks like the original chimney to that addition. And I would be somewhat concerned about removing that chimney. I'm not sure, is there a need to remove that chimney at this point?
Let Mr. Roy answer that.
Well, it's going to be, let's see, I'm unmuted. I had to make sure my unmute button was on. The main chimney in the house, okay, which has 4 different fireplaces that attach to it, I believe is being saved. I think the one that you're talking about is out in the sun porch area.
I believe it's in, yeah, I think so. The one that's going to be removed,
Right,
that can be seen from Bay Road.
Yes, as you go around the corner heading over towards Witchmere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically the idea is that, you know, this is obviously, I didn't do the design of the house. I'm just the fellow that's going to try to get it to a little bit better state. Some of the issues with the house are structural. And so it becomes a little bit of an issue, like the windows that you just mentioned, okay? We investigated what it would be like, what the cost would be for, you know, trying to replace that with a window that meets the U value that's required by the building code in that style with that type of pane setup, and it's extremely cost prohibitive. Those are very custom windows at the time that they were put in, and they would be very custom windows at this time, and they would not be able to be produced in a product that would be something that would have some lasting value to it, because you couldn't make that, you know, an Anderson window company or a Marvin window company could not make that window. That window would have to be a wood window. As anybody in the construction business knows, it's almost 3 times the money to produce a wood window with muttons in it than it is to buy an Anderson window or a Marvin window. And the deal with the chimney, you know, besides the fact that the design is by, you know, Kent Duncombe Architect. You know, I know that what was reviewed at the time was the structural. The house has a lot of structural issues to it. And that's the reason why it was determined that it would be better that we lifted the house and put a new foundation under it, because right now we can't really get to a lot of the structural issues that exist there, because the house basically sits on the ground. As a matter of fact, downstairs in the basement, there's an old steam boiler that they have. You know, there are things that we're doing that are helping to control the cost of, you know, building this out. And I think the removal of the fireplace and the windows all fall into that category.
I do know that these windows, I understand to try to replace them is very difficult, but to reglaze them, repaint them, and restore them, and then use a storm window edge, you know, outside, gets you your R value, and yet preserves the look of the house and that period.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I do believe they can be restored in place, or you pull them out and just by reglazing them and replacing any rotted wood. And it didn't seem to me a lot of rotting in those windows, that they could be preserved.
Well, I mean, I can just explain to you what it is that, you know, from a building standpoint, I would have to refer back to Bill as far as whether or not the client is, you know, wants to go that route. I think that when we went through this whole drill with the architects and Ed Fay, you know, that the final determination was based upon, and you know, I don't know that the windows would meet the R value. There may be some forgiveness in the code as to the fact that they are, you know, it's an old building and they might let you get away with that. But I don't think glazing those windows and putting storm windows on it would meet the U values that are required in the code now. But there may be a provision in the code that allows that to happen. Okay. And from a design aspect, I can't speak on behalf of Ed Fay as to how he would go with that. That would be up to Bill, I guess.
Yeah. I've not had a specific discussion with Mr. Fay about the windows themselves, and I'm not sure of the whether they were the whim, so to speak, of whoever put them in the first place, or whether they're representative of some style at that time. But I did have a discussion a couple of years ago with Mr. Fay, or a year ago, and he was debating demolishing the entire structure because it's so old and needs so much work. It seems to me that this is a reasonable compromise as opposed to waiting out a 1-year demolition delay and demolishing the whole structure to make these relatively cosmetic changes, in my opinion, and preserve the building. It seems to me that that's a good compromise. And if the windows are sacrificed for that, again, I think that's a reasonable compromise in order to preserve the entire structure.
That's all comments I have.
Brendan.
Yeah, my original, when I first looked at the application, it was the chimney and the windows that stood out. When I drove by it today, yeah, there's 52 windows, and I was on the same page with what Bob said. So I had to put a little more thought into it, but if you want to come back to me, that'd be great.
Sure. Jean?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. When I drove by it Sunday, it's a great house and it's in a great location, but the thing that caught my eye were the windows. And I'm wondering if maybe even a compromise of keeping those unique windows in the front of the house, in just the main part of the house where you've got the ones on either side of the front door, and then that little duo up above that, which sort of reflects that whole sense of it. I mean, that might be a compromise that would be agreeable, I would think. But they're just really, I think it makes the house stand out because you don't see it in too many places. Mm.
If I may, Mary, since there are so many windows, and there appear to be a lot of let's call them the diamond windows, stained glass windows, I think that makes a certain amount of sense, is for when you're on Bayview Road to see them from the front, but the ones around the back, the side, all of that, I don't see the necessity myself. Mm. So it might be, I mean, if you took all of those diamond windows and said, okay, I don't know how many they are, but let's say this 5, that's a lot of restoration. That's a lot of reglazing and a lot of wood replacement and a lot of storm windows. And Mr. Roy's already said it's more or less cost prohibitive. I think if we concentrated on the appearance of the front of the dwelling, And maybe, as Ms. Steiner said, the few windows on the front side, maybe that might work. I can't answer for Mr. Fay right now, but maybe that would work. If that's a real big hang up of the board.
So I'd like to, yeah, sorry.
Just a clarification, what do you consider the front side?
The picture, there's, I'm looking at a front door. I think this is the picture that Mrs. Steiner was referring to, that has the two, it has A-frame dormers above it, that one, yes.
Yeah, so that's what I call, that's the Bayview Road side.
The what road?
Bayview Road.
Yes.
And then the other side of the building, which also kind of looks like a front, that's on Davis Lane, I believe. Is that correct?
I would think it'd be opposite, but.
Or do you think that's the back, or?
Well, I mean, to me, it seems when I drove by today, the Davis Lane, to me, it seemed like that might have been the original front, and someone might have changed the address. But
okay, but
is that what you're referring to?
For our discussion, we should refer to the Bayview Road as the front. Is that correct?
I would agree.
Okay.
I agree with Brendan that the original front of the house would have been facing Davis Lane.
Yeah.
Because that's the front door. That's the main entrance of the house. That's the living room with the grand stairway in it. I would consider the Davis Lane side the front of the house.
Okay.
Based upon the way based upon the way the floor plan is on the inside of the house. When you enter the side door off of Bayview, or Bay Road rather, you're entering the kitchen area and the mudroom and so on and so forth.
Is what I'm holding up, Rick, is that what you're considering the front?
Yes, that's what I would be considering the front of the house, yes.
As I was also, in terms of the windows on that front side.
Yeah.
So that is the Davis Lane side.
Yes.
That what you're saying?
Yes.
That's the Davis Lane side. Then could somebody show me a picture of the Bayview Road front, just so that we have it for the record?
Is that
Oh,
one that
yeah.
has like all the, okay.
Yeah, that has the arches, right?
Yeah, that's the porch with the arches. That's the entrance into the kitchen.
Right, and then
Okay,
just so we're clear, the chimney would be pretty much the back of the house, even though it's...
the big chimney that you see on the back side of the house is there's a fireplace in the dining room, and then there's a room to the right as you face the house from Davis Lane. That there's another chimney and another fireplace, and then it goes up, and there are two more fireplaces on the second floor, because obviously in the day that was their source of heat. And so that's a fairly grand, that's a grand chimney right there. So in the house lift, we're saving all of that.
Mm-hmm. So Roy, quick question for you. Those two little windows above the front door on Davis, and then on Bayview, the little window in the gable, if you could see that, are those just going to be casement windows with no grills in them?
Unfortunately, from where I am right now, I don't have Kent Duncombe's plan. Bill might have the plan in front of him on his.
Need the letters.
But in the elevation, it should show what kind of a grill pattern they have on it. So it might be a casement window with a 2-light to match the top halves of the. Because I believe that what they're doing is 2/1s. Is that what the architect has in there?
Yep, that's what I see. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a very large man. I'll try to hold it up.
Yeah, I see it now.
Get closer, Bill. No.
That answer it, Rick?
Yeah.
Yep, I can
Well,
see it. I can see
the
it.
answer for you, I can't see it, but I'll have to put my glasses on now.
Well, that explains some of your basketball shooting in high school.
Yeah, that's right. My eyes aren't what they used to be.
I don't have the eye excuse. I have no excuse.
So, I want to address a couple of things because I think it's a fair thing. So, one of the reasons I probably have this job from, Ed, is the fact that I wouldn't be a builder that would run in and shout, tear this building down like many of the other builders do, all right? Because when you go into this house, I know that Ed Fay, to preserve this house and really make this house livable, all right, is going to be spending a tremendous amount of money. From a structural standpoint, there are a lot of things that we have to do to get this house so that, for the money that he's going to put into it, it really ends up being something that is, something that you'd want to live in. I mean, many other people would just be looking for a demolition delay. That not because it's an alternative. I'm just saying that Ed Fay really does not. I mean, I tried to say to him, are you really sure that this is what you want to do with this house based upon what the condition is on the inside? So I would have to tell you that Ed is a true believer in saving, this old structure. He loves the fireplaces. He loves the stairway in the middle and everything else like that. But he is going to be spending a significant amount of money in order to preserve this building. So anything that you can do to help him in compromise, how many windows that we have to save is extremely important, because there's a tipping scale here where when it gets to be so expensive to fix what you have to fix, that then it becomes a point where now you're back saying, well, now it's to the point where, maybe it's better that I tear it down. Okay. Now, I'm not saying Ed would do that, but I'm the guy that had all the conversations with him over the budget and how much it was going to cost in order to be able to lift it. It's a couple of $100,000 to lift the building to put a foundation under it, just so that we can get under there and fix all the underpinning, because in some of the rooms in this house, there's as much as a 1 foot drop from one. It's like a fun house, when you go from one end of the house to the other. And this is one of these houses that it really hasn't had a lot of additions, so I can't really say that they have, over manipulated over the years by doing a lot of additions to it. The front entryway when you go into the living room and the stairway up and the fireplace in the back room are actually what was probably there when it was originally built. So, I think that the building is worth saving from that value, okay, but to get it so that you don't, drop your Coke bottle on the floor and have it roll all the way to the other corner, okay, is going to take a lot of work. And so if there's a way to compromise on the windows, that would be great, because they are a huge expense.
So, Rick, I have one question for you. I'm looking at what we decided was the Davis Lane side front.
Mm-hmm.
That had the 2 peaks and then the 2 small
windows in the middle?
In the center.
So it'd be like a Nantucket dormer almost, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now I'm looking at one of the proposed, I'm looking at what I think is the proposed right elevation, which is the Davis Lane side. And it looks like this picture continues, and to the left, there are going to be more, what is it, sliding doors? And then there will be 3.
On the first floor?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're probably making a sliding door entrance into that room on the right-hand side of the picture.
Yeah. So then you would also, on the second floor, you've got the 2/1s, and then you have the small window side by side above it.
Mm-hmm.
My question, I may be crazy, if we can keep the diamond windows in the center, would there be any way to add some of that detail to the side, maybe in the small window above the 2/3s? just so that you're carrying that on the front of the house as well, to be consistent?
I suppose anything is possible in the world of construction. Okay, it's just, that would be something that, we'd have to, get to Ed Fay and the architect to work that out. Okay.
Well, I'm just looking at the back. The other front door, certainly, the other front side on Bayview certainly has a significantly large number of windows.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Plus, it's got 3 small, 4 small squares. So from my perspective, I'd like to see at least one of the 2 front sides that's the street facing view, carry some of that element to it. Brendan, I know you were looking to circle back. Do you have any comments?
Just thinking more about the project itself. I mean, if we're going to start playing with design, that's like historic district kind of stuff.
Right.
We should stick to, it's either, restore the windows, as Bob said, completely, or let them do what they want. The 2/1, to me, is very acceptable to have it consistent throughout the whole house. And I think if we start designing, unless Mr. Fay would like to come back to us later, but I think if we're going to let them do some of the windows, they should all stick with the plan that they have. I think Roy presented it pretty accurately, and we have a lot of houses that we do get demolished or the people wait the year. I think this is a really good compromise. We're going to get 90% of the structure, and it's going to look pretty much the same besides the windows and that one chimney that was ultimately in the rear. So to me, if the key word in this whole conversation is compromise, I think this is a pretty good compromise to accept the application as written and presented.
Thanks, Brendan. Julie?
I also drove by this house the other night. I didn't realize it was even down there, but I liked what Jean mentioned, and I can see what she's saying, but I can see what Brendan is saying also. I mean, we do see these homes come in here, applicants come in here, and they wait out the 12 months, and then the house is gone. Whereas the Fays are willing to try and improve the home, and it is, I mean, on one hand, to clean those diamond windows would be a pain in the neck. So I think I have to kind of side with Brendan. I think what they're doing here, they're kind of keeping with it. But I like what Jean was saying, maybe above that, I look at the Davis Lane as the front of the house. Maybe those 2 little windows in the dormer could keep the diamond accent thing, but that's the only thing I have. Other than that, I think it's a nice application. That's about it.
Thanks, Julie. Bob, I wanted to circle back with you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would still, I like the idea that Jeannie suggested that the architect does relook at it and leaves a couple of those elements in. I would like to see that, particularly probably on the Davis side, so that it would preserve a little bit and just hold this off another till the next meeting to make a final decision. But I would like the architect to weigh in on some thoughts that he may have to do this.
No, is that possible? Could we?
Rick, I'm assuming that construction would not start on this until the fall?
No, that's not. We don't need a building permit to start to do demolition. So we have actually started demolition. As you know, that this application was a time ago. And unfortunately, because of coronavirus and having to, figure out what the meeting schedules were going to be and so on and so forth. And the first time that this application was turned in, it was delayed because it was not advertised, and so we had to wait a little while longer for that. So, you're talking to a guy that's trying to make a living building, okay, which has nothing to do with the historical significance of the building. I get it, okay. The idea is, all right, is that we're hoping to get this approved from my standpoint, and I'm sure Ed Fay's standpoint as well, because we've waited a long time at this point to even be at the point where we could turn the building application in, because we have to get past historic. I'm not saying, okay, that Ed Fay wouldn't entertain, leaving, some of the architectural detail of the old house in the form of diamond windows. I don't know that it would have to be the whole front side of the building, so that maybe we could compromise again from what Brendan says. And if we leave, the windows in the Nantucket dormer is diamond shaped windows, so that, it's an accent piece to the front of the house, okay, but not the motif, because then we can make all the windows consistent to the building and make it look like the two diamond windows in the Nantucket dormer are an accent piece. That would be great, because then certainly the cost of refurbishing that set of windows and its, U-value effect on the house would be minimal. I think would be okay. But I think that Brendan makes a good point of the fact that, I think that, having a consistent window pattern through the house is actually going to make the house more pleasurable to people passing by than looking like somebody put one kind of window in on one part of the house and another kind of window in another section of the house. But leaving a couple of windows, because we've all seen houses where there's a couple of specialty windows in a dormer or whatever, looks like that was what the intent was. So that's what I would suggest.
So Bill, I'll ask you, are you comfortable if the board went forward and made that determination today, or do you want to talk to your clients? Because I'm happy to schedule a meeting before the next monthly meeting. If we need to, we can continue and to a date certain in 2 weeks, if that gives you enough time.
I want to be clear on what Rick was just saying.
So what I was saying, Bill, is that on the face side of the house on Davis Lane, there's a Nantucket dormer, and in the center of the Nantucket dormer, there are a couple of diamond windows that look like an accent piece. Okay. So what I was proposing is leaving those windows like that, because they're right over the front door and they look symmetrical and so on and so forth. And then putting the 2/1s everywhere else, okay, so we can preserve that piece of history, so to speak, without having to do it all over the front of the house, okay? This way here, they only have 2 windows they won't clean. So basically the idea is that I don't think Ed would be against that, because I think that, I can't disagree with the commission that they're very cool windows. And certainly at the time that whoever built this house, even back then, probably spent a ton of money to get that kind of a window pane configuration, okay? But it would be preserving, a little piece of history there without ruining the integrity of the quality of the windows and the ability to be able to heat the house and so on and so forth. So that's just a suggestion that I have. And I don't think Ed Fay would have any problem with that at all. Okay.
I'd like to go forward then.
Yes.
I'd like to go forward and have a determination made tonight, because of all the delays, determination made tonight as to whether that would, whether the board would agree to that. And then we will, I think Mr. Roy and I are comfortable that Mr. Fay would go along with that.
Okay. Just wanted to check back with you and take your temperature for your clients. All right. Are there any other questions from members of the board?
Yes.
Bob?
Yeah, so I like that idea. The thing, the door below it, the original door there with the lights across the top, is that remaining, the lights across the top?
Oh, the transom window?
The transom window?
It looks like it is in the plans. Is it, Rick?
Is it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So the transom, and I'm fine if just those diamond windows are left there as an accent piece.
All right. So before we move to close the public hearing, I just want to ask if there's anybody else from the public that is on the call that wishes to comment on the application for 3 Bayview Road. Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion. Oh.
All right, so Julie Eldridge has moved to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jean Steiner has seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Doan.
Aye.
Mrs. Steiner.
Aye.
Mr. Lonnie.
Aye.
Mrs. Eldridge.
Aye.
And I will also vote in the affirmative. Motion to close the public hearing carries 5-0. Now the chair will entertain a motion on the application before us.
Brendan, you do it.
Motion to approve notice of intent for 3 Bayview Road with the one stipulation, front-facing part of the property onto Davis, the 2 small upper windows in what Rick is referring to as the Nantucket dormer stay in that style.
All right, so Mr. Lonnie has made a motion that to approve the application for 3 Bayview Road with the one stipulation that the front facing side on Davis Lane, the 2 small windows in the Nantucket dormer remain in the same style. Is that accurate? And is there a second?
Thanks.
I'll second.
Jean Steiner has seconded. So we'll take a call vote. Mr. Doan?
Aye.
Mrs. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Lonnie?
Aye.
Mrs. Eldridge?
Aye.
And I will also vote in the affirmative, so the motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
We'll let everybody know.
Bye, Bill.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye, Rick.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Now, hopefully I can get out of here.
Put it on mute if nothing else, right?
That's right.
You should be able to just click the X and it should hang up for you.
There we go.
All right, folks. Next item on our agenda is the Chase Library got the grant from the 1776 Foundation. I don't know if Patty is on the call. I don't think she is. So if you recall, a couple of months ago, Chase Library came in and had the opportunity to apply for a matching grant to do some outside work at the Chase Library. They were fortunate enough that they did get a matching grant for that project. So they are very excited and wanted to pass along the letter from the 1776 Foundation and pass along their thanks. So I just wanted to make sure you all were aware of that. She seems very excited about being able to do additional outdoor work, outside work, along with refurbishing the front door. So that is a nice development. It's nice to see that they got some money from Mass Historic. Is there anything else that people would like to to bring up. Anything else that somebody would like to see on the next meeting agenda? I believe we're going to continue to meet this way in the future. I am not sure whether we have any applications as of yet for June 20th, or whatever the Wednesday is. I'm not sure if it's the 20th now that I say that. But if we do have a meeting, I did also just want to thank you that we will have it at 4:30 so that we don't have a conflict with the Conservation Commission. They are that. Anything
Mary,
else?
I have one thing I wanted to bring up. I have just about finalized those demolition delay rewrite. So I did that like the first week we were in hibernation. I need to go back and see. I left one little piece at the end and I need to go back and finish that, but I can get it to you. You can get it out or however you want to do it.
Absolutely. If you want to get it to me, we'll get it circulated. We also we'll have 3 sets of minutes on our next meeting to approve. We have a new person doing our minutes. She's done drafts for the last 3 meetings that we were behind on. So those will get added to the next meeting agenda and will be circulated for review as well. Other than that, I think we're good to go. If anything comes up, or if there's anything that you do want to add to the next agenda, just let me know. Otherwise, we'll be meeting.
Brandon and Jean, you guys are working on the updated, is it bylaws for is it the bylaws you're working on?
Guidelines. When I kind of the demolition delay piece and added, I looked at some other towns to see what best practices they had. So we talked about that a little bit at one of the meetings and agreed that we were going to go forward with the change to like I'm trying to think of what they were now, but off the top of my head. And I think one was that if someone didn't apply for a demolition delay or disregarded the demolition delay and tore down the property without permission from the historic districting, HDHC, then the town would not grant a building permit for 2 years from the time of the demolition. Wow. And that's done just about every other town that we looked at. So that was one significant change. There were like 3 different things. I have to go back and review them.
But weren't you and Brandon also working on, or was it Bob, the just updates to like materials that people use and stuff like that? Is that all part of that?
Yeah, we were all working on that, and Brandon was contributing to that.
Okay.
But that everything got kind of sidelined.
Right. Okay.
We haven't had any meetings since probably December or January.
Oh my gosh, it's been that long. Life as we knew it, right? God.
Oh, golly. I'm supposed to be in Annapolis right now. My granddaughter graduating from the academy, except there's no graduation.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but it's hard for all these kids and the seniors in high school.
I know, it's terrible.
Yeah. I know. No, I'm good. I'm good.
If anything else comes up, let me know. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Julie's made the motion. Brendan is seconded. Bob Jones.
Aye.
Steiner.
Aye.
Brendan Lonnie.
Aye.
Julie Eldridge.
Aye.
And I will also aye. And we are adjourned.
Awesome. Stay well.
Bye, everyone.
Aye.